If you're watching this on TDO, if you're just listening to the podcast, I just want you to put your hands in front of you. Spirit of life. I know that I'm not a perfect person, but I think it's time that England beat Germany on Tuesday morning. Help me to help my team win. That's it for this week's edition.
On the Dallas Opera Network, you're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm your host, George Cederquist, joined by Oliver Camacho, Matt Cummings, Weston Williams, and Ashlee Hardgrave. All right, this week, we get ready for Independence Day by lighting up some vocal fireworks in our great American Coloratura competition. Plus 2-minute drill, things not so pretty in France or New Zealand. Hey, if you're watching on the Dallas Opera Network, welcome. Check out the full episode by subscribing to the podcast on Stitcher or just favorite this show on Apple Podcasts. Oliver Camacho, good to see you.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be seen. Thank you.
I think it's nice to see you too, Oliver.
Short and sweet there, Matt Cummings, also short and sweet.
Its hair is really long. He has like a.
It's all. I'm trying to tuck it back as much as possible. Keep it out of my eyes. Back in Chicago after wedding season.
Woo.
Oh yeah, we missed you. We missed you last week. Did we miss you last week?
No, I was here. I was just
okay.
in
No, we
Pittsburgh.
didn't miss you last week.
You don't
Oh,
really
I wasn't
my
paying attention,
contributions
so he
to the
didn't miss you at all.
conversation.
So, you know, all I do is create content, people. This is like the 4th show that I've done in 2 days. So.
Matt's annoyed about the new gymnastics rules.
I am annoyed about the new gymnastics rules. The president of the governing body has decided that in order to prevent too many specialists from being a part of these Olympic teams, they're going to shrink the team competition from 5 gymnasts down to 4, which they say is going to also somehow level the playing field between the larger and smaller countries, because that totally gets rid of like the huge resource gap between USA, Russia, Romania, China, and everyone else.
Just really smooths that right over.
Plus, they're going back to 5 people for Paris in 2024. They've already decided. So, like, what is the point of all of this?
Weston Williams, does the International Olympic Committee drive you round the bend like it does Matt?
I mean, it does, because they still have not accepted my application to make a competitive Pokemon card playing a sport. And I think I would do extremely well in that category. And I just don't have an opportunity to get that gold medal yet. So
They're worried about They're worried about the repetitive stress injuries from all that shuffling.
Yeah, it's really tough on the old wrists.
The carpal tunnel, those insurance rates are just going to go through the roof.
Ashlee Hardgrave with us as well. Are you also annoyed about gymnastics, Ashlee?
I'm a little annoyed about gymnastics. I am just currently all things Olympics right now. All I want to do is just watch updates on Olympic trials, for not just for America, but other places as well. But I'm definitely Team USA. Very excited. Spent a lot of this weekend watching the track and field finals. Although, my goodness, shout out to the organizers, because they were held in Eugene, Oregon, and Eugene had record-breaking temperatures. Not just the athletes were breaking records, even like the temperatures there. They hit 110, so they had to push back the finals by 5 hours yesterday so that they missed the midday sun. So
I mean, hopefully by the time this comes out, that is in past tense, because people out there, it's not good.
They are bacon.
Stay cool out there.
Thing that will be in past tense by the time the show comes out is that England would have played Germany in the round of 16 in the Euro 2020 competition. Let's just get this out here right now. I'm a huge England fan. If you're watching on TDO, you can see the flag of St. George behind me. It looks like a Ku Klux Klan flag, but I'm telling you, flag of St. George, that's not a racist flag.
I mean,
reassuring, George.
Not any more than the normal amount of colonialism.
True, yes.
Exactly. Here, the nightmare is England having to play Germany. We're taping our show on a Monday night, like always. The match is tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central. I will have my cup of tea. I will be ready. Let's talk some opera.
Chalk Talk on Opera Box Score.
In America, the 4th of July means fireworks. Here on the OBS, it also means vocal fireworks. Our OBS team has picked 4 blazing Coloratura arias that would be worthy of a U.S. gymnastics team's performance. Each of our team will make their pick, make their case, with me judging their selection on 4 criteria. Oliver, do you want to set up the criteria for our listeners?
We're going to do it in on a point system totaling 100 points, and George will be keeping score and judging, so you know how fair that's going to be. The first category is verisimilitude, meaning to say the feeling of like realness you get from the combination of the music and the words and how the aria serves the drama of the opera, of the libretto, and how the aria serves the character and the plot. Then we'll judge on, and that's going to be 20 points. Then we'll judge on difficulty level. So for a soprano, difficulty comes in the form of passage work, in the form of high notes, in the form of the range of the piece, how high, how low it goes. And then also some things that are harder to explain, like difficult phrases, phrase lengths that are awkward, timing issues that, like where the score maybe changes meter frequently. All those things contribute to the difficulty of an aria. Then we will judge on execution. How well did the performer do executing the music, singing the right notes? And then interpretation, of course, speaking to the artistic interpretation of the performance, not just the technical performance.
Fantastic. I know this is going to be close. Let's get down to it. We're going in the order of year of composition. And so that means, Matt Cummings, you go first.
So coming up first is No Word from Tom, which is from Stravinsky's The Rake's Progress, an opera as American as Apple Charlotka, which is to say equally as valid as any other apple dessert that's been naturalized into an American citizen.
Absolutely.
So this opera, it's a neoclassical work. So Stravinsky took the forms that were popular in Mozart bel canto operas, recitative and aria format, and kind of did a redux on them to move away from that kind of Wagnerian through composed format. And so this aria is structured like a bel canto scene with a cantabile and cabaletta fast section. But because it's a modern piece, the way that it flows is a lot less I love bel canto opera, but you could say that it is tedious. And this is
it feels very formulaic, maybe is a better way to say it. Yeah.
They're not, this is much more compact, and the action moves forward really directly from her singing this kind of prayer to the moon to bring comfort to her lover, fiance Tom, that's fled off to London in this Faustian story. And then she decides that she's going to go to London, strengthens her resolve, and the cabaletta is her saying, I go to him, the love will conquer all. And so the difficulty in this aria is that it has both these really long arching lyrical phrases that are kind of mixed in with these little flashes, bursts of bravura. So in that way, it also kind of harkens back to Mozart. It kind of feels like a dove sono, except the first half and the second half of the aria are all jumbled together. And they can pop out into fast notes, descending scales, high notes really at any time, rather than saving all the fireworks for the end. But also because it's Stravinsky, there is a fun little twist, and the counting in this score is so difficult. It is kind of famous. The entire opera, every aria from this opera is famous as if you bring this to an audition, your pianist will hate you. And they will probably mess it up. So you better be ready to sing it with them playing all of the wrong notes, because who can even tell the difference? That kind of syncopation, the note values change on repetition, but not in a predictable way at all. And just that balance of flash and those long, long lines. And so for your execution,
let's hear about who it's going to be.
Yeah. So we're talking about execution, and the best, I'm confident in saying, the best performance of this aria is Dawn Upshaw in a live performance of this opera from Aix-en-Provence. The whole aria is on YouTube. Go watch it. There's a ballerina dancing the role, mirroring her.
What clown put a ballerina on stage with Dawn Upshaw? I want to find that person and punch them in the throat.
Gave the ballerina the same haircut, so they look like twins, like Seven Deadly Sins or something.
Yeah, very, very Kurt Weill-y. Dawn Upshaw is a singer who has some mannerisms that she puts into almost anything she records. She loves to make sure that people can understand her English, and she So sometimes she can go a little too far in that, but in this performance, she does not. She also will really add a lot of kind of scooping to kind of goose notes for emphasis. And that, I think, is where, for the execution, you might be able to take a couple points here and there. Particularly, there's one octave leap at the end of the slow part of the aria that takes a second before it's a full octave. But really, other than that one moment, her tuning is impeccable. And this aria, you kind of just have to pluck the right pitches out of thin air. The leaps are crazy. There's nothing in the orchestra part to help you because they're often playing like a note that's one note away from your note at the same time as you. And that's where the crunch happens. And if you sing the same note as what you are hearing, you are not correct.
Classic Stravinsky.
And then at the end of the cabaletta, these phrases get really fast and furious, and she does a fantastic job of just kind of riding the wave all the way through the end as it gets more and more frenetic. And then this aria is capped off with a C that is leapt to from more than an octave below and then held forever. And if you can't nail that, then this is not the aria for you, and she absolutely nails it. But where I think Dawn Upshaw is really going to pull away from the pack here, if you don't mind me being so bold going first saying that, is her interpretation. Because we've talked about the musical difficulty of this score, and that's all true. But really, the hardest part is making this sound like words and making it sound like music, instead of a robot trying to make sure that you're counting to 4 in every measure and not dropping any beats. And the syntax of the libretto is very convoluted, it's very twisted, it's very complicated, and it can be difficult to make the meaning of what the words are come across. And she does that better than anyone I've ever heard. And she just kind of floats. There's this gossamer quality to her performance where she has all the nuts and bolts correct. All of the details are there, but she just kind of floats above it, and this beautiful, limpid, like cobweb of vocalism that brings the music to life, and it like jumps right off the page and into the audience.
Good call, bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call, the way we always take it home. Let's go top down. Oliver Camacho.
So today's the first day of Wimbledon, also known as the place where I will get married one day. And first round heartbreaker, my Greek god Stefanos Tsitsipas, the 4th ranked player in the world, the number 3 seed, lost in straight sets to American Francis Tiafoe. I mean, if you're going to lose, it might as well be to an American. Americans are very good on grass, but just made...
What does that mean, Oliver?
Americans, their game usually is really good for grass because grass is a very fast surface. So as opposed to clay, where there's a lot more about strategy and running, Americans just hit the ball hard. So that's where they can do it.
That's an answer for that.
Yeah.
God bless the USA.
But it's going to make these next 2 weeks just a little bit less enjoyable to watch.
Matt Cummings.
So most days I really regret being on Twitter, but today is not one of those days because there was an exchange that I just want to like frame and put on my wall between a Christian mommy blog called Godly Womanhood by the Transformed Wife, who wrote, "Did you know that women couldn't be preachers if microphones weren't invented? They don't have the strong, powerful voices that carry like men's voices do. God created men to be the preachers." And friend of the show, Christine Gerke's only response was her looking over her glasses with like the most quizzical look I've ever seen on a human face. And I just about burst out laughing, like, frame it in gold. This is the best one. Amazing. Mommy blog, I hope you don't get beset by Valkyries.
Weston, you don't need to say anything because your show won the gymnastics pyrotechnics
I'm okay with that.
competition.
Get the name right. It's the Great American Coloratura
Good call for
Showdown.
bribing that judge.
Yeah, it was, except Natalie just says not American. Ashlee Hardgrave.
I have a bad call this week to the woman who broke the first round of the Tour de France. If you guys remember, the woman who had the sign that said Ale Opi Omi, she's the one who put the sign up and then caused the huge crash. If you haven't seen the video, I just put in Tour de France crash, you'll get it.
It's unreal.
She is allegedly missing and has fled the country because the
man.
Tour de France is planning to sue her. So, bad call for, causing a wreck. Bad call for fleeing the country. Good luck to you.
I guess we should put that on the tackle box page of the website. upperboxscore.com is where we put our sports clips. If you're watching this on TDO, if you're just listening to the podcast, I just want you to put your hands in front of you. Spirit of life. I know that I'm not a perfect person, but I think it's time that England beat Germany on Tuesday morning. Help me to help my team win. Shalom, salam, and amen. That's it for this week's edition of America's Talk radio show about opera. Our announcer's Norm Woodel. He's at normwoodel.com. On Facebook, search for Opera Box Score. On Twitter and Instagram, we're at Opera Box Score. Help us deepen that bench of listeners by liking and sharing our social media posts. Email us your hot takes, operaboxscore@gmail.com. And of course, subscribe to the podcast on Stitcher or just favorite the show on Opera Podcasts. The views and opinions expressed on Opera Box Score are solely those of the show's creative team. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the accounts of this show without the express written consent of Opera Box Score is un-American. But if you invite me to your 4th of July barbecue, I'll let it slide. Our creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. Our audio and video editor is Weston Williams. For your co-hosts, Matt Cummings and Ashlee Hardgrave, I'm George Cederquist, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as you try not to blow off your fingers. We're back with an all-new show next week when we use opera to pick the winners of the remaining Euro 2020 fixtures, plus you get more headlines, more hot takes, more legal fireworks, and maybe more prayers for England. I certainly hope not. Join us.